All right, go ahead, Chief.
All right, well, this is a great day. I'm very pleased that you're all here. We're very excited about this weekend, and we are really quite prepared. And I think for anyone who's local, you see the difference, particularly in the Bourbon Street and the French Quarter area, Poydras, and so forth. And you have seen now that we've had the arrival of our National Guard who are with us. We are going to have approximately 2,000 law enforcement officers throughout this week. And you will actually also have law enforcement that is not in uniform. So we're going to embed quite a few plainclothes officers. And we are actually very pleased that with the infrastructure, I want to thank the governor. What you see in terms of barriers is from the governor. He did an emergency declaration. We obviously did not have these types of assets. And so between the governor's declaration and the federal SEER 1 level that brought in the federal assets, we've been able to provide this type of safety. You've noticed the helicopters as well around the Superdome, and those will remain up. The biggest impact, though, is going to be the fact that we're going to be closing these streets down. And so between Wednesday and Super Bowl day, you'll see more and more restriction as more tourists come into town to enjoy our fabulous city. We will tell you, too, that on Bourbon Street, every night from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m., we will have a hard closure. And by that, what we mean is obviously no traffic, no vehicle traffic will be allowed on the Bourbon Street, and we are going to be blocking every single intersection that would feed into the Bourbon Street up to Domain. And so I'm just very pleased to tell you that we are so excited. I thought I would also take an opportunity to tell you how safe we are getting every year. Last year, New Orleans experienced one of the lowest, I think the actual statistic, that it was the second lowest year in a 60-year history. And even this year, we will always, always honor the memory of the 14 people who lost their lives in a terrorist event. But even between that event and today, they will always be in our numbers associated with how we do statistics. But no number, that's a sterile thing to think about, but that represents someone, that represents a person. We obviously have to use numbers to frame our understanding about the impacts of our strategies. So I do want to share some numbers with you, if I may. I'll let the siren pass. So as of today, we have had 21 murders since January 1. But if you think of it, that 14 of those were our terrorist victims. Last year in the month of October, without a terrorist event, we had 18 murders. And so when you respectfully show honor to the terrorist victims, we actually have had only 7 when you compare to the other murders, when you compare like categories. And so also this year, we are at a 68% decrease in non-fatal shootings from where we were this time last year. We are at a 17% decrease for non-fatal shootings. We are 59% decrease in our armed robberies. And we are a 67% decrease from where we were this time last year in our carjacking. So that is a testament that New Orleans is truly getting safer and safer every year. And we know and are confident that we can build an infrastructure where we would not experience a unique and yet tragic event of a terrorist attack. With that, I'll open it up for questions, and I do have our experts, as you know, behind me, that if you have a particular question on traffic, I may turn to someone else. So who would like to start us off?
We're going to start over here, Chief, with Jambalaya.
Hello, good afternoon. Good morning, Maria with Jambalaya News. With all the security measures in place, what reassurances are there for visitors and tourists who are still contemplating whether or not to come out and celebrate Super Bowl week or attend the Super Bowl this Saturday, including parking availability?
You know, super question. I guess the best way to answer that is look at our track record. I mean, we are hosting the Super Bowl for the 11th time. And that's, we are only tied with Miami. And so if you also will take note, we had Taylor Swift here for 3 sold out events, 3 sold out nights. We had an incredibly fun and safe weekend for Taylor Swift. And even after the tragedy of New Year's Day, this police department with its partners were able to put on a Sugar Bowl in 24 hours that was also a safe and good and fun experience. So we know that we have the confidence that we can do that for our tourists. You can come. I don't know of any city right now with this level of infrastructure with the exception of New York.
Okay. Axios.
Hi.
Chief. Carly with Axios.
Yeah.
Hi, so we're hosting a Super Bowl in addition to a presidential visit.
Yes.
How does that affect the plans?
It does impact because the security also has to now heighten more, and we are prepared for that. And the impacts of that will be that we will have to shut down some additional streets a little longer in order to provide a safe corridor for him. Obviously, he also brings his Secret Service detail, and so that is also established for his security as well. Yeah.
WWL.
We had seen on the major offense log from yesterday morning that there was a robbery at the corner of Bourbon and Canal. Someone had taken a woman's items and it was at 9 a.m. I'm just wondering, with all of that law enforcement there, how are you handling property?
I'm going to let the captain over that to speak to it if you would like to, about the specifics. He's over that district.
Yeah, we're still working that out. We don't want to give any specifics as it relates to that incident right now, determining the correct classification of that crime right now.
May I almost also comment, you know, our ability to find people who do engage in this is very, very high. We call that a solve rate, and our solve rate, even with our current homicides right now, our murders, is in the 90 percentile. That is exceptional. So people who come into our city or who locally abuse or violate anyone in our city, the likelihood of you being caught is very, very high. And there will be an accountability through our criminal justice system.
Go ahead, Missy.
Hi, Missy.
Good morning, Chief. Can you say anything else about which additional streets might be shut down due to the presidential visit, or how long?
Yes, and I'm going to have the Grand Master of all streets right here. This is Lieutenant Michoud. He knows everything about that, so go right.
So without getting into specifics about how the president's going to be coming in or getting into specifics about how the route may be, I can tell you that some of it will be intermediate closures towards the dome. The impact of the dome will just be outstretched. Instead of it starting in impact the city, it's going to stretch from Loyola to Galvez, the same as it would on Friday at 7. We're just pushing up 24 hours to make sure everything's in place, and we can check those measures out as we go along to make sure there's no holes in our armor when we go and set that.
NBC 10.
Ma'am,
Yes, sir.
Eagles fans are a little bit different than other fans. You've had experience with them before. What do you say to all the Eagles fans who are now coming into town?
Oh, we're so glad you're here. And we know that you're going to be a great partners and visitors and tourists, as well as all of our fans. And so we are a city of tolerance. We are not a city of lawlessness. And that's not directed at an Eagle fan, that's directed at all of us. And so we welcome every single one of our fans, and all fans of all different teams are unique in their own right. So we're glad you're here.
Inside Edition.
So you've kind of answered this question,
Yeah.
but I just want to ask it in a little different way. Were you really worried worried when you found out that the president would be coming here? And what major changes did you have to make to accommodate?
We were not worried. We anticipated that that might occur, so we kind of knew that that would be a potential, and we started planning that before there was the official announcement. So, and we're glad he's coming. Yeah, welcome, Mr. President.
WDSU.
Okay, kind of to piggyback off of that question, any details on how many Secret Service agents will be in town to help secure the area? And also, was it difficult to kind of go back to the drawing board to enhance what's already a heightened security already?
No, it was not a difficulty because the security, the NFL security team is primarily the team you see for the Superdome activities. The French Quarter are also some NFL sites that they have oversight on their security. All of these partners literally know each other. Between the Secret Service team and the federal HSI team, us, we actually already had very well-established relationships. We use the term partnership all the time, and it sounds like it's a cliche, but it's really not, because we actually know each other. So all it was an additional layer.
And no details on how many Secret Service agents?
We can't give you that because that is a little bit different. So, yeah. Trust me, there will be enough.
NBC News.
Yes,
Thanks
hi.
so much. Hi, good morning. So since January 1st, I know you've brought in Commissioner Braden to review security plans in the
Yes.
city. Of course, you're coordinating with the NFL as well as federal law enforcement for the Super Bowl. Beyond what the city has proactively done since New Year's Day, what changes have been asked of you by your partners, and have you declined to make any changes that have been recommended?
Yes, and so what we're doing now, and with Commissioner Bratton and his team, is to look at what are we going to do as New Orleans for our security safety in terms of what type of hard assets should we be purchasing as a city. And a hard asset, when I use that term, y'all, I'm talking barrier systems. Because all of the barrier systems you see here, for the most part, will leave after Mardi Gras. And so we're looking not only at the short game, which is now in play, and short game is the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras, but now we got to look at the long game. What are we going to do? And that's where Bill Bratton's team will be giving us counsel. And he's also going to be, we've asked him to do an after-action report on what happened January as well.
In the context of the Super Bowl, sorry if I didn't
Yeah.
clarify, in the context of Super Bowl weekend, were there any changes that have been asked of you by partners that you weren't already in the process of making, and have you said no to any of those changes?
I have said no to any, I haven't said no to anything. Probably, I don't know that we've had a major change because the plan for Super Bowl has been in place, working on that plan for 18 months. And people don't realize that, but we have been meeting on a regular basis with all of these teams for 18 months. So that's kind of, and
that's
we've
not
also heard from them.
That's not redirected by New Year's Day.
No, we actually take our lead mainly from NFL security because that's what they do. Yeah.
WGNO.
I know you said the helicopters will still continue to circle the city, but I guess will the NWD be using any new technologies like facial recognition or drones or anything to help secure the area?
There's a lot of technology out there that we use, and I will tell you this. Please, for those who are listening, don't bring your drones out here, okay? We will have drones, and the state police will have drones, and the feds will have drones. But this is a no-fly zone area. This is now a protected area. If you put your drone up, we're going to bring it down, okay? And by that, what I mean is intercepting signals and so forth. So y'all don't do that. But yes, of course, we're leveraging our camera network system. We've expanded it, things of that nature. Yeah. And I want to say something. We literally need our community. We need y'all. We need our tourists. We need our residents. You see a lot of things we don't see. And when we say that catchy phrase, which is a great phrase, if you see something, say something. You know when something seems out of place. You got to tell us so we can do something, folks, okay? I'm also going to be asking the community to watch social media. If you see something that is inappropriate or concerning in a post, please tell us. Okay, don't be someone who goes, oh, I don't know that they really meant that. Don't risk it. So be our eyes and ears. Really be a partner to us. And we would appreciate that.
Fox 8.
Superintendent,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, some of the white archers from Meridian that were deployed in the French Quarter were removed. Can you tell us why, and was anything put in place of those archers instead? And then also, I know it's been an extremely long year already for NOPD and law enforcement throughout the area. Just talk about what you all are doing to ensure that your team is well rested and prepared to handle the Super Bowl.
Okay, let's address the archers. And so when the state gave us some more type of barriers, we were able to redeploy much of the archers. As a matter of fact, we put archers in Jackson Square. So you were seeing those being placed. And so because of the nature of the barriers that were covering the street, we could use archers a little bit more strategically and replace them in different locations. That's kind of the simple answer to that. And about our team, in OPD, and it's not just in OPD, but we're the host police department here. You know, these officers are working a minimum of 12-hour shifts. And they're also being held over, all right? And they're standing post, and we want them to be ambassadors so that when tourists come up and say, where's a good place to eat, that they answer those questions with good cheer. But it is long, and it is hard. And especially when traffic starts to get gridlocked, please be patient with our officers, okay? They're going to work with you, but it's just human nature. You get tired. And so we make sure that they have places that they know they can go. We have a wonderful host community of hospitality here. And many of our restaurants and our hotels provide a place where the officers can go and use a restroom, have a bite to eat, and just get off of their feet a little bit. It's like a marathon. For anybody who's a marathon runner, you got to pace it. But we have excellent leadership here, and our leaders do take care. And we drive around and we say, hey, are you okay? Do you need a break? Do you need a snack? So we actually are mindful of that, and they're going to be working very long hours. And then they're going to get a 1-week break and then a 2-week Mardi Gras. Okay, you're looking at amazing, I call it like Olympic level athletes. They are really of that caliber. So they'll stay the course. We'll be out there too. So it's a great question, but we're going to take care of them.
All right, Jack, you get the last question.
Okay, hey, Jackie.
Hey, thank you. Could you talk about the decision to allow firearms in Bourbon Street, and what steps will be taken to ensure people bringing in guns are complying with state law?
So that's not my decision. That is a state legislative decision to have constitutional carry in the state of Louisiana. And we're going to abide by the law. But we do now have some new training about what we're going to be looking for. It is absolutely illegal, has always been, even with the change of the constitutional law of carrying, to go into any establishment while armed that serves alcohol. So we will be mindful of that, and people will be extremely unwise to bring a firearm into our hospitality areas. And that's the French Quarter primarily, the convention area. Don't do it. There's no need for it, folks. Okay, let us be your people to help you. I understand constitutional carry. I am not opposed to constitutional carry. I think it should be carved out in certain areas of our state because booze and firearms don't mix. It's just that simple for me.
And you mentioned there's some additional training about that.
We did. We had additional training so that all of our officers, because our officers are going to follow the law. Whatever that law is, we're going to honor the law, we will follow the law. But when they know that someone is carrying a firearm, we will stay within the legal limits. But we will still stop people if we see that, for instance, you're negligently carrying. What does that mean? You have a gun in your waistband and not in a holster? Probably negligent carrying. And so we have trained our officers a little bit more on what those laws are that are available to them. And they will be enforcing strongly, but legally. Yeah.